Hail the Barbarian Horde. I'm Joe, here from my co-host Dan, along with Tom, our very movie savvy buddy, and of course, Fullscreen Bossfight, who's probably the star in some ways of the show. I'm joking. Just you've got the biggest platform, bro. So you're the star.
I just have a good personality.
Are you saying I don't? Yeah, you're probably right.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. But
I mean, between the two of us, it's obvious which one got that personality.
fair enough. Maybe that's why my ex dumped me, because I was boring.
Ouch.
Anyway,
Ooh.
actually, that was the reason. I got to work on my personality. Anyways,
Okay.
um,
Happens to the best of us.
what, having a personality or not?
No, I'm. Jeez.
Oh, God.
I really waded into that briar patch.
Yeah, but or getting dumped savagely. You mean?
The getting dumped thing is what I was talking about.
Yeah, happens to the best of us. Happened to you, so.
Oh,
Yeah. But anyways, we ended up deciding to do this Kull celebration, which is, after rewatching the movie, I gotta say, it's every time I watch this movie, it gets better. Like when I was a kid, I didn't like it. Then as a teen, I was like, this is garbage. Then as a young man, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Then now I'm at the point where I'm like, this movie's like a 3.2, like out of 4. This is such a great movie. And I love this movie more and more as I get older. But I also love the novel more and more as I get older as well, because there's a novel that's attached to the film. But we'll start with what did you guys think of the movie overall?
Full screen my Jeep stick lead.
okay. Well, I watched it last night, and the last time I saw it was probably about 98, probably 99. It's been a while. I remember I watched it on network television, so I was like, I'm a Kevin Sorbo fan because I grew up watching Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. So that was an automatic. Yeah. It's
Show
a nice Saturday, Sunday like show. And so I was like, okay. And obviously, sword and sorcery movies are something I like. I think going back and watching this again, I enjoyed it for the most part. There's certain things that I kind of wish were done that would have improved it.
Because Zaretta sucks.
Yeah. Well, the thing that it really kind of like is like, well, if I were to do this over again, or if this were done over again, I think I would like a more like theatrical score.
I like the score.
The guitars kind of throw it off for me just a little teeny bit, because I'm expecting, because I guess I'm kind of thinking in the terms of like, say, Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, like we want that more themed whatever. This was very late 90s, but that's not a bad thing though.
Now, if you listen carefully, I found that the theme when they're riding on their horses towards Volusia.
Yes,
that reminds me of Riders of Doom.
I could say that.
Yeah, like I thought it was similar, but that was my favorite score. That's why I was like, oh, I love the score.
Yeah, I just felt like it just needed be a bit more epic in scope. I feel like the guitars just kind of, it was like you could tell this was made in the 90s, and like I wanted this to feel a bit more timeless, because it's a great story, and I love the special effects. The special effects are surprisingly. This is like at a time period too where we're getting kind of in that whole point where there's a lot of cheesy effects.
Yeah,
and this was kind of just slightly out of the range of camp.
Yeah. Okay.
But like the plot and the story is great. I like I just like the whole arc that he goes through, and he just kind of realized like, yeah, like why am I trying to change myself for other people? And he just kind of goes back. Yeah,
we'll analyze.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I like the themes. There's some really solid themes in there.
There's some great ones. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I actually grew up not watching the movie because at the time it came out, it was around the time of Deep Rising. And my parents, I love Deep Rising. And my parents took me to see Deep Rising, and it was hell for them, but it was heaven for me.
It's always
And
awesome for kids.
when
Yeah.
when Cole came along, he says, "No, we ain't taking you to see Cole. We already had enough of Deep Rising. We ain't getting it by some other way."
Oh.
So I ended up watching it for the first time on New Year's Day, and I've watched at least once a day every day. And it gets better each time I watch it. It really reminds me of a film that Albert Pune should have done in the 90s if he had gotten the proper recognition after doing his in the 80s. It reminded me of and plus Kevin Sorbo ended up working with Albert Pune on the Sword of the Sorcery sequel, Tales of the Ancient Empire, which, for the record, do not watch the version that's on YouTube. You'd have to get it on DVD. That version is better, but the ending is just a little choppy.
I see.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I didn't know about Pune and Sorbo's team up. I myself really like Sorbo. I think he's a profoundly underrated actor.
Oh, yeah.
And if you watch Hercules' Legendary Journeys, which is his best work, he has a lot of range. Like, the best arc is probably when Iolaus dies, and you see how far Sorbo can take his character, stretch him, break him, and put him back together as an actor. Like, arguably, this is like Sorbo. He's such a great actor, and I think that his call shows he did care about the character, and he did explore Howard's literature and understand the character on a lot of levels, because it was him who suggested, rather than doing a Conan movie, let's do Kull. And the way he portrays him, you have a character who he's struggling with a lot of things, and I actually think that they should have kept. Now, in the book, there's an arc about how he felt abandoned by his father in childhood because his father left to seek the breath of Volca. And that's why Kull doesn't want to go on the journey to seek the breath, because he's angry with his dad. He's still angry about his father. But the axe he gets, the double-headed axe at the end, that's his father's double-headed axe, and I believe from the book. And he also uses his father's boat to get back to the mainland. So he also discovers that his father had wished to find not the breath, but really the treasure that was said to be near the breath, I believe, so he could help Kull. Or at least it was all about Kull from the very beginning. So his father had not forgotten him. His father wished to give him a better life. And Kull then realizes what his father had done for him and forgives and wishes to be the same sort of man. Now, on the other hand, this Kull movie is missing the other most important character to the Kull stories, Brull, the spiritual.
Yes.
Brull is Kull's sworn brother, and it is Brull and Kull's bromance and friendship that is the
cornerstone.
Yeah, the cornerstone of the entire story of Kull. And you can't get one without the other. So that's why I find there are problems with this movie, is because there's a character missing, and that character is Brull. And you need their friendship and their shared love for each other. And they come from rival tribes, but they find love of sorts for one another as bros who enjoy slaughtering snake men and monsters and other humans, bro stuff. But the thing is, had they brought Brull in, I think this would have fixed a lot. Like, this would have allowed someone for Kull to bounce off of more. And you'd have there a character whom just, I think, would elevate Kull. On the other hand, I think as to Kull himself, he is nailed here. Like, at the start, he's an angry sellsword who serves Volusia, and he's still bitter about his time in slavery because of his, we get a good look of his back, and it doesn't look pretty.
No.
And the thing is, I would argue the metaphorical scars he has run far deeper than the physical scars. And Kull, of course, ends up chasing after Zaretta. I don't know why. And I think that once he's king, it's all the more interesting that he wants to, as you said, Fullscreen, he's trying to change for others, or at least he's struggling to fit into the role of king.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is true to the short stories. Kull tries to change himself up until by this axe I rule, at which point, this is the final story in the Kull tales, he smashes the stone tablets and says, enough, I've tried to rule as king as you would have me, and I found that I wasn't a king but a slave. Now I will be king. If anyone wishes to question my rule, this is my scepter. Try and take my throne. And I think it's, well, he basically says, by this axe I shall rule.
Yes.
And the first person to go, amen to that is basically Brull, because that's Kull's brother of sorts. Well, they're sworn brothers. They swore an oath of brotherhood in the first story in the Shadow Kingdom. Well, that's not really the first story. That's more like the second story. But, well, in the continuity, it's number 3, now that I think about it. But Shadow Kingdom sees the two swear an oath of brotherhood and mutual love. And every story afterwards shows the two rescuing each other, endangering each other. Typically, it's called endangering Brull for no reason. But the two are generally just glued at the hip. And during some of the conspiracy stories, when assassins want to kill Kull, they often are frustrated because they're like, how do we get rid of Brull? Because killing Kull is hard enough. But having someone on his level as a warrior by his side all the time, sometimes, you've got Kull who goes to sleep, you have Brull in the room playing watch, and then when Brull goes to sleep, Kull is keeping an eye on Brull. So it's damn hard to kill one of them. It's near impossible. We got to get Brull away so we can get to Kull. And then you've got the Red Slayers, who are the royal bodyguards, although they changed it to the dragons in the Kull movie. But as for Kull, he journeys to fetch the Breath of Valka to counter Tia Carrera's interpretation of Akivasha, who is, rather than being a vampire, is a demon. And Season of the Witch totally stole the idea that rather than being a witch, she's actually a demon.
Yeah.
And the interesting, what I liked was that Akivasha actually kind of possesses him or hypnotizes him.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't really happen in all stories. But well, every guy who looks at Tia Carrera at the time is like, yeah, I would totally fall for that.
I was going to say definitely in the 90s. Yeah. That was fresh off of Wayne's World. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, fresh off of Wayne's World.
She was hotter in this movie.
There's very good reasons why any guy would
fall for her.
Fall for her, would totally simp for her and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kull, well, what's funny is that she actually simps for Kull.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but it was like, it was funny that she thought he was disposable at first, but then she realized like he was a bit more resilient than she thought. She was like,
Well, it's more like he really blew her away in bed. So she kind of
yeah.
There was that, and then when he turned her down, when she offered him immortality, that you kind of saw a little bit of a spark.
Yeah, where she's like, he's hot. He turned me down.
I was like, oh, he's bold.
Yeah, and
I respect that in a man.
I don't think it's that she respects that in a man. It's that she wants that in a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I want that in a man.
You have to look at the types of men that she surrounded herself with, because you
have Taligaro, who's basically
you have
the
nobles.
Yes men.
Yeah, all the nobles were basically just like trying to backstabbing each other, and then you have the wizard character he's basically just the top of her simp list.
Yeah. And Taligaro's second place there.
Yeah.
And then there's funny enough, I actually will admit, Taligaro's cousin, the one who had a better claim than Taligaro,
Mhm.
like the one cousin just dressed like I guess a girl because he's always dressed in a robe.
Yeah.
But he at least did not simp for her. We can actually give him credit. He does not seem to have really cared for her. He was, he says, I just want the throne.
Yeah, he was hyper focused on the throne.
Like, I don't care about you or any woman. I just want the throne. And then I'll worry about women. So, like, although he made the mistake of trying to stab her with a dagger and then kind of getting creamy prematurely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Taligaro, for his part, serves as a counterweight to Kull. Kull is not a nobleman. He's of barbarian blood. And he obviously likes the idea of being king, but the problem is he finds that once he has the throne, it's not as much fun as trying to gain it.
Yeah.
And he's just Taligaro is the opposite also because he is cruel. He has no regard for human life. And like Kull at least would prefer a woman willing and also does not like the idea of slavery. He's uncomfortable. And he only accepts it because it's a necessity for Volusia. Volusia really can't really do without it. Because it's basically ancient Rome. But to an extent. But on the other hand, Taligaro is someone who embraces and thinks anyone who is not of noble blood is inferior. But at the beginning, we see that no one in the dragons can fight like Kull, but this still doesn't register in Taligaro's brain. And I also find it funny that Taligaro does not have deep down the courage to seize the throne because he's offered, like, come and fight me for it by Borna, but he doesn't have the guts for it. So he would rather have Kull kill Borna and then tell him, it's mine by right. Kull, give me the crown. He doesn't really have the courage to grab the throne. Like the one cousin who tries to make a grab at the crown, at least he's got the guts to say, now step aside. I'm going to go step up next to a guy with a sword who just killed my cousin, and I'm claiming the crown, whether he likes it or not. Yeah, sure, he burns his hands, and he's like, oh my God, my hands. But at least he was willing to make a grab at it himself without having Kull do all the work. So Taligaro is really someone who feigns a courage but lacks the backbone. And I think this is why Akivasha really doesn't care for him and thinks him really a junior partner in the relationship and basically her lackey because he doesn't have the guts. And he wants the crown, but he doesn't want the work he doesn't want to do the work to claim it.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that in hindsight, you can kind of respect her for the fact that, yes, I know she seduced Kull. She used those means to claim the crown, but she still had the courage to put him in a death-like state and claim and basically do all the dirty work. So in that regard, she's a mirror image to Kull. But once again, like to get rid of Kull, you've got Taligaro and his band who wanted to initially hide behind a bunch of unnamed assassins when that didn't work. We'll sick her on him. Well, they don't actually have the guts to kill a king.
Yeah, to me, it felt like he was the most politician-like of all the others nobles. He was just out of range of like getting blamed for for something happening.
Mm.
But he was kind of playing his cards or pitting the other nobles against
Kull.
Yeah,
but it doesn't seem like Kull was fooled.
Which I kind of find a little bit of sense of irony because if you look at it, Conan the Barbarian is essentially Kull transposed into the Hyborian age because Conan's backstory in the movie is essentially Kull's story. But you then go into
Conan was never a slave.
Yeah,
so that is one factor that's different.
Conan the Conqueror, Kull the Conqueror. He basically take Kull and you put in a Conan story because the story itself is an adaptation of Hour of the Dragon.
Yep.
Essentially. And originally Dino De Laurentiis or his daughter Raffaella wanted this to be the third Conan movie, but they really rubbed Arnold the wrong way after Red Sonja and the politics behind Destroyer, that he's like, nah, he went and did Batman and Robin instead, which that was a turkey.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's a better choice.
Well, it didn't help that he was paid a lot of bread for it.
That's a motivator. Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
And
But
it's also like, come on, Tia Carrera or Uma Thurman? It's not even a choice. It's Tia Carrera.
But
but
the funny thing too is
but with this adaptation though, they did a lot of things different. Rather than having Zaltatun the Dark Lord, they have Akivasha the Red Witch.
Yeah.
And you've got, of course, her method would be to use fire to reinvigorate the fire of life within each of the inhabitants that were once of Acheron. But in the actual lore, Acheron comes after Volusia in the Thurian Age. And yeah, but they didn't have the heart of Ahriman here. That's the disappointing thing.
Yeah.
But
another thing
I think though that the differences actually work to the advantage here, because it makes it at least a little bit original, so that like you don't have it be beat for beat Hour of the Dragon. You have different characters. The priest is obviously very different from Hadrathas. Zaretta is very different from Zenobia as a character.
Yeah.
And the dynamics between the characters are different. But
yeah.
I also think the idea of the opposite of ice and fire as opposite forces and having to use one to put out the other is also a good, interesting theme. So there's plot points, like choosing the icy maiden over the fiery maiden. The ideas there are pretty interesting. So I think that overall, it plays to the advantages of Kull, the character, who's a much more melancholic, dour figure than Conan.
Yeah.
And he's also much more bitter. Conan is not someone who holds much bitterness against other men. He doesn't really care for the most part.
Well, another funny thing to mention too is getting back to the making of it. After they realized they couldn't get Arnold to come back as Conan, they tried to present to Kevin Sorbo like, "Hey, do you want to be the next Conan?" And Kevin Sorbo wisely said, "No, I'm not gonna fill those shoes." So and if I remember right, Sorbo did read a lot of the source material. He says, "Why don't you make it about King Kull of the previous age, and make it a Kull movie?" And screenwriter Charles Edward Pogue
from Dragonheart.
Of Dragonheart, yes, and The Fly.
Yeah, let's try not to mention The Fly.
Okay,
you want to mention his good movies.
Well,
okay, I guess we have to agree to disagree.
Well, I'm kind of more of a fan of the original one with Vincent Price, but there's goes.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say the Price is better.
Yeah, but anyway, what I gathered was the original script was what the movie was, but it was more expansive to where it included the storyline, like you mentioned in the novelization, about Cole's father, and was going to cover that story. But what happened was a lot of studio interference, like what happened with Destroyer, but it was a lot worse with Kull, obviously, where they said, we got to tone this down, we got to shorten it to fit more screenings. So they completely neutered it, is what they did. I don't know if they shot the full thing or not, but if they did, I would like to see Arrow Video do do an R-rated cut, which is the expansive version, which is what the novelization was. Well, either way, if they didn't do it or not, I would like to see Arrow Video do do their take on Kull the Conqueror.
Well,
Yeah, if there's an R-rated cut floating around, I do want to see that because I think you could tell that there was some PG-13 meddling going on with this movie.
There is an R-rated cut, you said?
No, I said if there was, I would love to see it myself too.
Oh,
yeah, same.
Agreed.
The novel is of the current cut, just the added dad story. But the novel is well written and reads really well. Now, not all Conan pastiches are created equal or written equal, and a lot of them are. Well, we don't want to talk about the trash out there, Conan the Liberator, for example. We want to talk about the good stuff. And
Kull, Liberator never happened.
Yeah. Kull the Conqueror is a really well-written novel. It actually is fun. But the trouble is, it's not of an R-rated cut. If there is an R-rated cut floating around out there, I imagine it's even larger than the novel. And that would be a delight. And I would hope that we actually get more Kull scenes. And I really would have liked to have seen Brawl.
Because the movie, if they did it to include the Foster in the movie, would have been at least an hour and 45 to an hour and 50 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
Okay, so they added 15 20 minutes.
Even if it isn't an R-rated cut, if they shot the scenes about the storyline with the father, put that in there and release that, and I think he would have that, because the movie is pretty much it's a cult movie, but it's not as revered as Conan the Barbarian or even Conan the Destroyer, but this movie is revered much better than the 2011 Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I find that this movie I rank far above Conan the Destroyer, Red Sonja, and I've not seen the 2011 movie.
I saw it. It has its good points and it has its bad points, but the best part is the first 20 minutes.
Well, I really love this movie. So, but I also find that the focus of the story is essentially on the hero and the villain, which is how it should be. You have the focus on Akibasha, you have the focus on Kull. And I think that the casting choices were perfect here because you've got the actor who plays Reed Richards, I think it is. Or at least he's Silver from Karate Kid 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you had as Escalante, he was the guy from The Indian the Covered and Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation.
Oh, don't hold that against him though.
Which role did he play in Mortal Kombat?
Not sure.
Was he? He's probably Nightwolf.
Yeah,
Probably.
he was Nightwolf.
Okay, then
you've got Tia Carrera, who is a charismatic actress. She must have had a bum agent because not all of her movies were very good.
She's got a lot of direct-to-video features.
Yeah, and she was actually a really good actress.
She had a TV show that was on for 3 years. It was like a female Indiana Jones thing that's on Tubi.
Relic Hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah, that thing was. Oh my gosh.
It was kind of like cashing in on the Tomb Raider theme.
Yeah, I try not to hold it against her.
Fair.
But then
you had Karina Lombard, who played the Kull's love interest. What's her name that he ends up marrying in the end?
Oh, Zaretta.
Well, she was the damsel in distress in the Walter Hill movie Last Man Standing.
Okay.
And she was in Legends of the Fall with Brad Pitt.
Oh, Poor her. That movie was oof. Not a fan of that movie.
She was in The Firm as like a side character.
Yeah. Hello, Eric Wegg.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Hope you're well. And Eric's a friend and fellow writer. You have Aries Aurelian who says hello. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, and of course you have Sorbo who rounds out the cast. Arguably, Sorbo's really like with this script, you're going to need an actor to carry the thing.
I was gonna say he's hurting his back carrying this movie.
Yeah. Plus, he actually did end up getting some health complications after this.
Yeah.
He had 2 strokes, I believe, and ended up in the hospital, thinking he was going to die. And he nearly got fired off of Legendary Journeys because Sam Raimi's a dick. And the Raimi brothers blamed Sorbo and said, you shouldn't have taken on this Kull movie. It was obviously too much for you. Like, why don't you listen to us more? But here's the thing. Funding was being funneled from Hercules Legendary Journeys over to the crap show Xena in order to prop up Xena. Now, the trouble is she was, I think, sleeping with one of the Raimi brothers, and so they favored Xena.
Phil Tappert, she ended up marrying him, I think.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
He was sleeping with him. This caused drama because Sorbo wanted funding for Legendary Journeys. The Raimi brothers and Todd Bird wanted funding for Xena. And this caused conflict between the two casts. And what's more is that the Legendary Journeys got stripped to their bare minimum, especially around season 4. And there's an entire documentary book on this. And the thing is, Sorbo was very surly and angry about this and felt, like I had to earn my place. Lawless didn't. So
She basically slept her way there.
Well, she earned her place, all right.
She worked for it, all right. But Sorbo...
we won't say how for the sake of the kids watching.
I was going to say, it's a family show.
Yes, let's keep it with the family.
Yeah. Sorbo was dissatisfied, so went off to make Kull. And what's more is that when he ended up ill, the Raimi brothers were not exactly... For a time, he tried to hide his illness, but he couldn't hide it for long. And they really went after him. And apparently there was some abuse on set, verbal abuse. And Sorbo, when he recovered, decided he didn't want to stay and wanted to walk away. Then they started panicking because Legendary Journeys was a best-selling TV series, doing better than Baywatch. And they ended up chasing after him and begging him to stay, but he pretty much saw it as, okay, but I want Legendary Journeys to have the same attention that you're giving Xena. You have to give me better storylines.
Yeah.
Because you gave me a bunch of Muppet storylines in season 4. I'm not cool with that. I need more stories. Otherwise, I'm walking because I can't do this anymore. I don't care. And they then bent over backwards and had to start putting money back into Legendary Journeys. And you can see the production quality in season 5 of Legendary Journeys just skyrocketing all of a sudden for the first time in like 2 seasons. And suddenly you have a great many stories and they are just fantastic. But then there started to be some squabbling also because he found religion, and admittedly he tried to force it into some stories where he probably shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, I think I know exactly where
Archangel Michael's story, which made no sense in Legendary Journeys.
I think he kind of fell into the same web that, like what happened with Kirk Cameron when he found religion, he kind of tried to implement it in his.
But that said, Sorbo then agreed to compromise with them. It didn't go over well because he didn't want to, and he was also tired by the end of the show because he was tired of constantly having to fight for the show because he hurt his back carrying Legendary Journeys, and the trouble was there was so much favoritism for Xena, and he just saw it as, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to keep fighting for the show. Nobody wants to fight for the show but me. I'm walking. So, and by then they were tired of him as well. They didn't like him. They threw him out. He was basically canceled, and he went across to the street to go make his Andromeda sci-fi show, which was very popular.
That was over like 5 years, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, Sorbo's best work was in the 90s, when he was able to be a leading man. And I say able to be a leading man because he was an actor pretty much born to be an action hero. And his later roles, he's not as physically capable because of his strokes of doing the action stuff.
Mhm.
So, like he's limited in a way.
Did
Whereas-
he do a third TV series after Andromeda, or was it just Hercules and Andromeda?
I think it was just those two.
Oh, well,
No,
because
yeah.
he did really the Walking Tall movie, the horrible one with
Oh
The Rock.
yeah.
He did 2 directed video sequels that I watched him on Tubi. Those are actually not bad movies.
Okay. Well, I'd still like to see him do maybe something with fantasy, especially a darker edge to it, like Kull and Legendary Journeys, because
Yeah.
I think this is his bread and butter, and I think that's really the issue of his career. He should have leaned into his strengths rather than elsewhere. But on the other hand, we have to recognize that Hollywood didn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he did find religion. And funny enough, I found that looking at his career, he seems to have toned it down to an extent. Like, at least he was willing to compromise on some stories and whatnot beyond after that brief Archangel Michael episode. Outside that, he seemed very, like, if you ignore that one episode, you can't really, like, you can see the Christian values of the character of Hercules.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
morals. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like beating you over the head. And Sorbo generally was able to keep it in check, unlike
Cameron. I like Kirk Cameron.
well, what I was going to say was, unlike the current day religious movements that have a different sort of name on them. I'm just saying, because at some point, when your political ideology becomes that important to you, it's a religion, not a political movement.
Fair.
And
There's just to add to the statement. Apparently, he did do a western in 2007 called "Avenging Angel."
cool.
I've heard about that one, but I haven't seen it. Is it any good? Hey, John.
I was just looking up his discography basically, or his just to see what type of movies he did. I know he definitely did. He did a cameo in God of War 3.
Oh, yeah.
And he also was in The Conduit, which is actually a game I kind of played and enjoyed.
Well, I really would like to see him if they brought him back as Kull, but do the Bran Mak Moore story and have him come back as old man Kull for his age from way back then to
I'm not very fond of the Bran Mak Morn story. I actually find that's one of the weakest of Howard's stories.
No, but I think it's weak too, but for a movie adaptation, you could tweak it around and make it more. Well, I mean, look at it this way. Howard Hawks came out and said, I can make a great movie out of your worst novel. To Hemingway goes, what's that? To Have and Have Not. Well, the book was trash, but the movie with Bogart, that's classic gold.
Well, yeah, I guess. Now, for this movie, which of the characters would you say is your favorite, guys?
In Kull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kull the Conqueror.
I thought Kull was the best character, but at the same time, close second, I thought Escalante, and I did like the what's the one that he marries at the end? Her name?
Zaretta.
I did like her, but I thought that a lot of her stuff was probably cut out. Or if the movie was much longer, she would have been fleshed out more.
Yeah, I kind of felt like there should have been a bit more chemistry between the three mains too.
Because she basically sacrificed her freedom to become one of the king's
harems
to make sure her brother goes free. Now to do that, that's
Yeah.
she's a character.
I just found the actress wooden.
Mm,
But on the other hand, okay, Escalante, what did you like about him?
well, I thought that well, for one thing, before we knew he was a brother, he was the one that was the part of the religious order that was saying that the flame is a sign, as a reminder and a sign of things to come, basically saying she's got to come back again. And I thought, okay, he is the wise one, the one that's going to come in and say, this is what's going on, this is what we have to do. And
He plays a very key role.
yeah, Lightfoot, yeah. But I really thought that nobody kind of suffered when they killed him off, though.
I think that killing him off was actually a good choice. I found that there wasn't, like, it helps to develop Kull further. And I just didn't see a way he could have survived. Also, because I think he had fulfilled his role from a thematic point of view. And
Yeah, you might have a point there, but the movie would have been better if they would include the storyline about Kull's father.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm with Joe on Escalante. They needed to raise the stakes.
Yeah.
And there was only 2 characters they had that they could kill off in order to raise the stakes.
Yeah, I felt like that too. Like during that particular scene, I was like, they're either going to kill Escalante or they're going to kill Zaretta. And if they killed Zaretta, that's going to the whole thing's going to go right off the rails.
All right. So, Fullscreen, what's your favorite?
In terms of characters, I like Kull mainly, but the relationships that he had with all the additional characters were interesting. I wish there was just more fleshing out between Kull and Escalante's like interactions, because I think if the movie had an extra 45 minutes or whatever with some more like adventures, you probably could have had them develop a stronger friendship. And I think that's the only issue I see. But I like Escalante as a character, but there wasn't enough of him on screen to just kind of just give us a general idea of just more of his personality and just the telling the tale thing. I love characters that are there to tell the tale. So that's a really good aspect of, because I like a lot of horror movies. So telling the tale is like an important thing for horror movies. But in terms of just characters, I think, like I said, when I said Kull basically hurt himself carrying the movie, he was definitely Kevin Sorbo made me believe that he was Kull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job in that regard. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I like Kull. That goes without saying. I know that I really liked Akivasha. And
Carrera does a great job with the character, giving her, making her despicable and wicked like Zaltotun. But the difference is that Zaltotun is someone who strikes everything everything looks like a nail because he's a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's a little more subtlety to Akivasha in some ways. Now, what the goal of Zaltotun is different. What he wants is how he goes about getting what he wants, like how he wants to enchant the hills and have them take their prior shape and whatnot from the Hour of the Dragon and whatnot. Zaltotun is much more like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. It's all subtlety and whatnot for the mystic arts. But where she's subtle is through the use of female wiles to get what she needs. But once she's got the throne, she's not as subtle as Zaltotun. And in that regard, she's very interesting. She's very brutal. When the minute it's out in the open, it's out in the open with her.
Yeah.
In terms of brutalizing those around her, and basically you have Teliguro and others going, well, I'm in charge. And she basically tells him, no, you're not. Zaldatun is willing to humor the kings beneath him and is like, okay, fine. Yes, little boy, you're in charge, until the end when they start conspiring against him. Then he goes, no, you're my satraps. You're my slaves.
It's that little sword and sorcery moment from the Albert Pune where they go, hey, we need the lizard guy to take down the king, but we don't need him anymore, so let's stab him in the back. Very end, he shows them, he goes, no, I'm going to rule everything.
Pretty much. But the scene plays out way better in the Hour of the Dragon.
Yeah, it does.
But that said, I actually like Akivasha more than the Pune character because she's clever. Like, I just found her clever in a way, in that she's stringing each of the men along through, yes, her beauty, but also she knows what they're all about.
Cunning, yeah. She has like a level of cunning that's just ridiculous. You could tell Tia Carrere actually was enjoying herself when she was playing the role, because like those little subtle giggles.
Yeah, she was having fun, and it adds to the character. Like, it really does add, and you could tell Sorbo was enjoying himself. So that, weirdly, I actually thought the two of them had a lot of chemistry when in the same scene.
Yeah, especially in the lovemaking scene. They had, like, I was like, whoa, hold on, is this a family film?
Well, even like the throne room scene, that's what I was also thinking of. Like, there's some great chemistry there, and at the end when they're enemies, like, they really sell the hatred for each other, but also the attraction between the two characters.
Even at the end when she's just like, husband. There's like, I was like, okay, there's still some chemistry there. Even when he's just kind of like at the point where he's just talking to a floating puppet.
Like, you're so cold.
You're cold.
All right. So what was your favorite scene, guys, throughout the whole movie?
Well,
other than the lovemaking scene.
No. I was actually, for me,
that's everyone's favorite, bro. We know.
Him returning into town after, like, he was presumed dead.
Oh, where
I like that. I like that scene. I was like, this is something I could see if Schwarzenegger would have actually, like, took the role. I could see him do this, especially under the camel. If we were to play it off, because they were trying to play it off like it would have been a third Conan film.
I was thinking the second return.
Yeah,
but you're thinking the first one.
Yeah. It's just being underneath the camel, and if it were the same camel from the previous movies, just peeing on him. Oh, this is just payback from before.
I actually really dug the opening, the scene where how Kull gets to be king, and how the one guy who's his opposite, Taligro goes, wait, give me the crown, Kull. It's mine by right. And then his cousin comes in and goes, dressed up like a woman, goes, no, it's mine.
Yeah.
And he takes it and he burns himself.
So you love that entire throne room scene.
Yeah, and then
that was a well shot scene. I will say that was.
I love that. Goes, no, the crown's mine, and I say Kull gets it if he can stay alive long enough.
I love that line, especially when he like coughs and like, gags on his blood afterwards.
It's yours if you can keep it. Now, I was like, now that brings me to one issue I have with Borna's madness. Now I know, like, he's like, my eldest fought to challenge me for the throne. Now I've spared the others further disappointment. But the thing is, Borna in the actual stories of Kull was a puppet of the Snake Men. And the Snake Men had ruled Volusia for 1,000 years from the shadows. And they would often enslave the ghosts, the spirits of these kings that they would slay, and then they'd replace them with the next one. And so it did, for 1,000 years, you had an unbroken line of kings, but the kings were little more than slaves. Now, Borna went mad. Kull killed him, and this was a monkey wrench into the plans of the Snake Men, who then planned to kill Kull and pretend to be him for a while until they could figure something out.
So
But-
then Kull was all make Volusia great again and threw everybody off track.
But the thing is, I think that this movie is also missing the Snake Men to an extent, in that now the comic book, the graphic novels did great with this plot, and in there, one of the monkey wrenches was, in a way, the real monkey wrench was Borna going insane, starting to slaughter his sons, and doing some of the stuff that happens in this movie. But his daughter wrote to Kull basically a love letter saying, come kill my dad, and I will marry you and you'll be king. And Kull was more motivated by greed for the crown. Like, ooh, being king sounds great. And he was already kind of maneuvering, and he's thought of it as, well, she's hot. So I could do a lot worse.
It's good motivation.
Yeah, but he claims the crown, but what he marries is someone who doesn't like him initially. And because Kull does get around a little, and she doesn't appreciate it.
Is this the Dark Horse or the Marvel Comics?
Dark Horse. It was good. I say that because the Kull stories from Marvel weren't that great.
Because there are 3 omnibuses that are available on Amazon. I haven't seen an omnibus for the Kull stories from Dark Horse.
No, I don't think they've got them. They put them as I think graphic novels, but the Dark Horse ones were quite good. They weren't long lasting. They were not as good as the Conan Dark Horse run, which is in a league of its own. But the Kull stories, they added extra characters. They added some layers. It was good. But they did go into some, I guess, weird directions. But which I guess the Marvel comics probably didn't. So, but the Marvel comics also, when I tried reading the Roy Thomas Kull run, I was just confused. But that's just a contrast. Like, I think the graphic novel could have taken more inspiration from this movie for a lot of ideas. But on the other hand, I think that the princess who is Borna's daughter worked better as a love interest for Kull, as Zaretta does not work, I find. And I just didn't believe the chemistry between her and Kull. I don't think she could catch a man like Kull's attention. Because Kull, it's just, for one thing, there's the acting, but outside that, the trouble is that she seems more like Delacartes, which is a series of female support characters from the Kull stories. And I don't think Kull would be too taken with the idea of fortune telling. Well, he would, but it's just, Kull's also motivated by politics. So Zaretta does not add to politics. She doesn't know anything about politics. She's not smart enough to catch his attention. Now, Conan wanted someone smart and physically brave. Kull would prefer someone, I think, more feminine and clever. So ironically, probably a good version of Akivasha would be what he'd want, I think, thematically as a character. Not, I don't know, Zaretta. But that's just my analysis here. But in terms of favorite scenes, Dan, what's yours?
I actually enjoyed the battle on the ship.
A little too SeaWorld for me.
Yeah, but I actually enjoyed most of it because.
Oh, you just like seeing the merchant, the slave merchant chucked in the sea.
Oh yeah.
Kull, it's me. Come on.
I was
It's
kidding.
us.
I was playing around.
It was just a joke, Kull.
Oh, you said it. That's exactly how he said it, Tom. Like, I was not kidding. Yes.
I was only kidding.
Chucks in the sea. Like, Yeah, that was a fun scene.
And Kull's like, "You should see your face."
Oh yeah, it's like you should have seen your face, Call. You should see yours. Yeah. I think I'm caught between either the coronation alongside Tom. Like I really like that scene. And I'm just thinking, like, well, not the coronation. I mean, the battle for the crown. The battle for the crown, or maybe weirdly the revival of Akivasha, because it reminds me of the Hour of the Dragon, just with the
Yeah.
like, well, Tom knows what I'm talking about. You have the scene where it's like, Akivasha, you are Akivasha, I am Akivasha. Yes, and it's such a great nod to the original Hour of the Dragon, where you have Zaltatun, and you have Zaltatun's reaction, which is, Zaltatun, you are Zaltatun, I am Zaltatun. Like, and in hindsight, now that I think about it, it's also a great nod to one biblical scene in with Moses of "I am that I am." I think it is, which is the name of God.
Yeah.
I am that I am. Well, I am Zaltatun, which is to say, Zaltatun is the Dark Lord, or I am Akivasha, the Red Witch. So, you are what you say you are, and I found that these guys probably were thinking of that at least. And
I thought you were going to say another nod to another previous stream we did was An Ox and a Moon. It's a revival.
Yeah, there's also that I'm reminded of. So I just think the horror elements of this movie are a strong point for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough fantasy horror out there.
I would have loved to see if they would have actually done this movie right after The Mummy, when the CG got really good.
Oh,
I would have
yeah.
loved to see how this would have turned out.
Oh yeah,
That would have been great. So yeah, those are my favorite scenes. Okay, okay, so I'm gonna ask what element or theme do you think was the best one running through the movie? We'll start with Tom, since he's the movie expert.
Well, the scene when Escalante dies, Kull kind of recognizes, oh my God, I've been so vain, so greedy, seeking only for myself, and all along I've been blind to what's in front of me, essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thematic idea.
And he goes, and it kind of pays off at the very end when he smashes the tablets and goes, you know what, I'm done playing by your rules. You're the people that set those rules are all dead and buried. I'm gonna make my own rules, and if you got a problem with that, you can try to kill me for it.
Yeah. How about you, Fullscreen?
The central theme surrounding like Kull's basically him limiting himself because of what Telegaro says at the beginning about how a sword's a nobleman's weapon, and him abandoning his axe, even though that gave him the tactical advantage, and he's known that weapon all of his life. Like, just him changing himself to basically appease to other people, and then at the end, he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna grab this axe. I'm gonna kick this dude's butt. Like,
screw it.
Yeah. It's like, and he just breaks his sword with the axe, and I was like, this is such a fitting moment.
Yeah, what I like about the transition back to the axe is that the Hollywoodian movie always has the hero specializing with the sword, and this seemed to be very Howardian in how it mocked that. Like, oh well, everyone else fights with a sword, but not me. And he takes up the axe. It's very fitting. And I do like the one line he says to Liguru, this is how a barbarian fights. Which,
yeah.
But Dan, what's your favorite theme or motif?
One thing that not this time, but the last time we watched the movie was that there's only one time where someone wears something far brighter.
The only two characters to wear red are Akivasha and Kull.
Yeah. For example, you have when Kull is paraded through town, he's wearing a bright red cloak.
Which is true to the comic and to the story.
And that is a touch I indeed like.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I do like. For me, I think I really like what Fullscreen said about the weapon switch and whatnot. In the book, I like the idea of the dad, like the theme running through with him, but I might have to go with the axe and the sword thing as well. I just think that's such a subtle touch of Kull re-embracing his heritage and what made him great. He made Kull great again, not just Volusia.
Yeah.
I also like the rejection of the Hollywoodian ideals, so to speak. Like he's basically just going, no, he's not a classic Hollywood hero. Now, that said, I think of the classic kind of swashbuckling Hollywood heroes. I think the best one of the 90s might be Bowen from Dragonheart. And there's a movie I'd love to do a movie stream with you guys on.
That's another one I haven't seen in years.
Oh, it's great. And there is a movie that we could talk for hours about. But for this one, I also like that it's actually faithful to the spirit of Howard. And
yeah,
a lot of the ideas in Howard. And I do love the Conan the Barbarian movie. But I find that it's not exactly faithful to the spirit of Howard. Conan the Destroyer is not. Red Sonja is not. And I think that the only two movies that seem like they're very Howardian, like in the ideas, the themes, the feel of the world and whatnot, seem to be in some, the world feels nice and old, and in the Conan the Barbarian movie, they did nail that, but there's just a feel to this movie that's much more Howardian, just as Solomon Kane is. And it's now the only thing I have is that I would like to have seen a bit more of Volusia, and I wish it was grander, because Volusia is called the City of Wonders, and this is supposed to be the most wondrous place on earth. This is ancient Babylon or Thinis of ancient Egypt. This is a lost city that had all the wonders of the world within it, and all stood in awe. It is a city of wonders. It is the Purple City, as it is also called. And now we did see one of the wonders, which this movie introduced, which is the Flame of Valka and the Great Forbidden Temple. That seems like it's a great wonder of this city, and I actually like that idea. We see the palace, which is another wonder, but there's little else that we see of the great wonders of this city, and I would have liked to have seen that. But I believe we ended up ranking this movie something like around a 3 but last time, but I feel like this is more a 3.2 on rewatching. And it definitely has a certain feeling to it, a certain nuance, as well to all the characters and for the most part in their relationships. And I do have to admit, on this viewing, I was like, oh wow, Akivasha's simping for Kull. Okay. Like that actually had me laughing and going, oh yeah. It's like you said, Fullscreen. Taligaro and the one priest guy were at the top of her simp list, but she's simping for Kull's Twitch channel or whatever.
Yeah, she's on a whole different. Her eyes are over this way.
Yeah, I like how the priest says at one point, "You desire him."
Like jealous.
And she just ends up, what is it, slapping him or something? She's like, know your place, slave.
Just burning the hell out of him throughout the entirety of the movie. It's like, oh, you just got your face back.
Oh,
you gotta keep it.
I also like that she. I also have to admit, I actually prefer how Kull takes out the giant monkey, over how Conan does it, because Kull hangs him, and I thought that was fitting.
I felt so bad for him, like the noises he made.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I kind of got to wrap it up right now in the next minute or two. So,
Well, thanks for showing up.
yeah.
We'll definitely have to do another stream like this sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially since you know so much more about movies, Tom, and it's always a delight to like bask in superior knowledge in that regard. But it's the truth. But you know what, Tom? I'm just gonna try to plug. I think I put your Substack in my description, so I'll encourage everyone to go over to the Substack. And if it's not in the description, I will post it in the comment section after this. Seriously, people, go check out his Substack. He's always got film facts and world building tips and writing stuff that makes his Substack really worth read. Easily one of the most underrated Substacks out there. So go check him out, subscribe, read what he's got, and we'll see you around, Tom. Oh, and I'll also quickly shout out World of Conan, who's got a much better Conan channel than I do. Hails, fellow barbarians. Great stream. Hey. This movie has an awesome soundtrack. Looks like he's contradicting you, Fullscreen.
Yeah.
That's right. Joe Goldsmith was the son of Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah. A great combination of metal and orchestra. I must own. Do you mean the movie or the soundtrack, or both?
Say both.
I think he means
both.
That's
right. Because this is the time of where like the soundtracks were separate from the actual score.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So see you around, Tom. Take care. As for you, Fullscreen, any last thoughts?
Watch Kull was actually a pretty decent movie. And again, it's one of those movies where I kind of wish that if they would have put it out a little bit later on when the technology would have caught up with it, the effects might have made it a even more better movie than what we got.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to ask with Dan Mai's 0 to 4 star review system, which is pretty much modeled after the Roger Ebert 4-star system. How would you guys rate this film?
3.5.
You too?
I'd give it a 3, like a solid 3.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting set of ratings, and especially since we're basically all on the same page, I think we all enjoyed it. Now, I will ask, which would you guys prefer, the Solomon Kane movie with James Purefoy or this?
Ooh, I never seen the Solomon Kane movie, and I haven't been able to find a copy.
Oh, it is awesome.
It was on Netflix like forever ago. That's when I first saw it.
That one was awesome. Maybe that should be the next stream.
Well, if I can find a copy, I'll watch it.
I was gonna say, if, you might want to check Amazon or eBay.
Yeah.
And
I'll do that, guys. Thanks for having me, and it's good to see you all.
Yep.
Good to see you again.
Bye.
Bye. Also, for everyone, since we'll probably be closing it out here, check out Fullscreen's Twitch and Rumble channels, which I'm gonna have to post those. I'm pretty sure I put everything in the description.
Yeah. I will be doing our show RNH tonight, like probably around 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. We cover video game news and pop culture stuff, but we kind of do it in the most R-rated way possible. No nudity, because like
okay, no offense, dude, but you had me scared there for a minute.
Haven't quite mastered the meta on Twitch, so
do the bathtub streams. Those
I know.
What are they?
I have to have a precarious bar like over top of my pectorals.
Oh yeah, that's what they're doing nowadays.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now.
It just okay. I can never keep track. There's so many metas that just come and go.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
I just want to talk about video games.
is it even a video game site anymore?
Well, once you get past the just chatting portion, like there's still people that play games on there. The majority of it is just like a bunch of like attention starved women in the Sims that boost them. So
Yeah,
a lot of akivashas and
well, now I know what I have to go search.
I doubt they're on the level of Tia Carrera.
No,
fair enough.
Never that beautiful. Few women are as beautiful as she was in the 90s. Then again, arguably, maybe. Oh, there's 2 different soundtracks. Well, I did mean Joel Goldsmith. No.
I see. Okay.
Oh, there's 2 different ones. Okay, I know.
But I think he's asking, but like
no, there's only the one. There's only the
just
one.
the score. Yeah, I think he means the score.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's just the one, and yeah,
that's fair. I could take the L on that. That's fine.
You learn to live with it. Like, I've eaten enough L's that, well, I'm sick now of Lucky Charms.
Oof. Well, that was the thing for me. It's not that I have a problem with the soundtrack. It's just like
it wasn't.
I feel like it's very 90s. You know, like it.
Yeah, it's dated. That's what you.
Yeah. That's the main issue. Is like it just felt dated. But like, and then like back in '98 when I first saw it, like I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Okay, so I'm just basically looking up to Google and set up the links I should have posted. So I'll get to doing that so that this, even though this is not going to grow my channel, at least you and Tom will probably benefit, because at this point, YouTube's dead in the waters with me. So
I was gonna say I can retweet too, and we'll see if we can.
Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference.
It's YouTube.
It's YouTube. Like, it's arbitrary. They've got their own circle jerk of sorts.
I was gonna say, yeah, YouTube seems to be the albatross around a lot of younger creators next.
Yeah. There's a reason why I've been moving more and more over to Substack, because I've got much better growth there. And yeah, so everybody move over to Substack. Or if you're on Rumble and Twitch, go check out Fullscreen Bossfight. It's a crime what YouTube did to him.
Again, YouTube.
But maybe it's doing you a favor because you've got a much better thing going on elsewhere. And
I can swear and make dirty jokes on like Rumble and Twitch. So I feel like it's like you get over a bad breakup and you kind of realize that you won that one.
Okay, so that's your W. That's your W. But actually, in all seriousness, we'll have to corner you on for another stream, also to show you Conan Chop Chop.
I'll have to check that out, because I have Conan Exiles. I got gifted that like a while ago, and I haven't even had a chance to like play it. But I heard that's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Chop Chop is hilarious. Like it's just pure Conan comedy. Like man, like they make fun of Zeldatune. Fafamon, I don't even know how to describe. He's got this large horn helmet thing, and like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to take up a bit more of your time, because I'm going to show you the Conan Chop Chop intro if I can find it.
Okay.
And it's hilarious. Let me just do one thing. I'll just see if I can pause it for a moment. Bloody heck, YouTube. Oh yeah, I can't pause this, so I'll just wait for the stupid ad to go by. All right, let's see. Share. Nope, that was wrong button. Present. Share screen. Let's see, where's my tabs? Here we are. I'll go here. Oh, okay. Normally I don't put this up at very high quality, so let me just. I hope you guys can hear this.
look adorable.
Yeah.
Ahriman is mine.
This is the kind of
I
art
will
they've
use
got.
this charm to resurrect Zoltoten. Our combined powers can restore Acheron.
I have returned. Let the world tremble at my... Where are my feet? You fool! You have only half the heart, and I have only half of my body. Give me your body to complete my resurrection.
Not quite the plan I had in mind.
If you like...
Ugh, get it. If you lack the courage to give me your
They
form,
give him this
find me
dark
a
helmet
worthy
voice.
vessel. Yeah, my ENT told me I can't do that voice that much anymore.
I don't have time to chase down every hero in Hyboria. Instead, I'll lure them to me. Oh, but how? Free hot oil massages? No, I've got it. A contest of the brave. No muscle-bound fool could resist. I'll conjure a Wrathathon.
Yeah, that's the kind of art they've got. And what did you think?
I like it. It's got that nice little cutesy thing going for it, but it's also like
Dorky.
Yeah. Like the was it the mid 2010s kind of nerd humor?
Yeah, that's basically what it's got. And they've got jokes like that interspersed into the game. The game's actually really hard. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, well, I'm an amateur, but we've struggled pretty hard with this game for a while, for like a year now. We've just been enjoying that because it's a challenge, but you laugh when you lose because they post up like caught with his pants between his legs. Like they'll post a note of why you suck, and they're like, was too focused on cookies or something. And it's like these stupid little things that they're claiming got your character killed, but it's not really how your character died.
Wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, things like that. And
Story of my life.
But it is such a hilarious, ridiculous, fun little game. So that's something I thought, well, like I've got to show you at some point. It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm a sucker for cutesy games. So
all right, well, maybe you could even try it on your own and see if you like it, because it's not that expensive. I think it's like what, $5 right now.
it's on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I could probably, as soon as I get paid, I could probably snag that.
Sure. And maybe we'll do a stream and just shoot the breeze.
That would be nice. I need to do more like game streams. I did a stream of Revolution 60 because my co-host decided he was going to gift me Brianna Wu's game, and we tried to get Brianna Wu on the stream to kind of talk about it, but apparently Brianna was busy doing political commentary on Twitter. So
no idea who that is.
yeah, it's best not to look it up. It's better to not look it up.
Okay. Well, currently I'm only looking at your Rumble and whatnot. Oh dear God, you did Home Alone 2. I have got to check that out.
Oh man, that was actually on the wrong channel. I have a Boss Fight at the Movie specific channel for like roasting movies, but I accidentally dumped it on the main channel. But it's gotten more views since I put it on the main channel, so I guess that wasn't a total loss.
Dump everything on the main. Dump everything on the main.
That was the only. That was the other reason why I got ditched from YouTube. Is like my more spicier content was on the main channel instead of like making a secondary channel for it. It's like I probably should have thought that through a little bit better.
Yeah, I probably should have thought through before posting a video of cleavage, but I've got like 8 videos on the Nightmare Reviews where I've got the woman's bare chest showing.
It's cleavage and it's also horror movies, like the kind of, for the lack of phrase, it goes hand in hand.
I can't figure out why I get a pass on the horror stuff, but I get a strike on the much more conservative. Like I was trying to avoid any kind of spicy stuff.
YouTube has that. my understanding of YouTube is kind of reminds me of how in the Dark Ages we thought meat turned into maggots.
Yeah. Except
Like-
YouTube does have maggots.
Well,
I
fair.
know. I
The
know-
mysticism is all over the place.
yeah. And I know they're probably going to be mad at me for saying this, but
Uh,
honestly, I'm tired. And I'm not really. If I get a strike or a ban, what am I going to do?
it's okay. You
I'm
can
basically more over on Substack and Storyfire these days, anyways. So it's not really going to harm me too much.
Well, I guess Susan's not there anymore. I was gonna say, hey Susan, it's my fault if anything, whatever.
Nah.
Just blame me.
Nah, it's Susie's fault. It's her fault. And if there's anyone who says I'm unsubbing for these comments, okay.
And then resub.
But seriously, go check out Fullscreen. He's, as you guys have seen, he's hilarious. He's awesome. And
I'm a nice guy. We can sit down, be friends, have nice little conversations about things that you shouldn't talk about.
yeah, and he does do a lot of movie stuff, art stuff. I've seen your art streams; they're awesome.
Yeah, I burned
and I-
myself out. Like,
That's your art book and your video game thing that you're working on.
yeah, I'm working on the art book stuff. I wound up getting a program called Scribness that kind of works like Adobe InDesign. So I'm supposed to be doing the page layouts, but every time I get down on doing a page layouts, I'm like, oh, I should probably do another piece, and I wound up kind of semi burning myself out. So I've taken a day or two to just kind of reorient myself, probably just doing some writing or jumping into another creative thing to keep the fires burning.
Well, if ever you want to jump into a creative project, we're always open, especially if it mean working on a video game or a comic or something with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that really want to work on video games, and I didn't think it was going to be possible until like right about probably about a couple months ago. I was like, yeah, this could turn into something. I think normally, I know in the past I'll usually start a project and then get bogged down with something else, but
Yeah.
This has had my full attention for a while, so I'm like, okay, there's something here.
Keep at it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like I really want to put something out there and just kind of prove myself.
Sure. Well, when you're done, I'll be waiting alongside Dan for whatever, and hopefully in a few months we'll have a bit more cash, and we can.
You got a comment, I think. Or
Yeah, we've got Lord of Lek. He's from usually over at World of Conan. He's a great sub. He's an old fan from this channel, from Brothers Howardian and whatnot. Hi guys, Kevin Sorbo may seem a touch on the cheesy side. Yeah, but that's mostly due to Hercules. I respect the man, if not adore the actor. Yeah,
Definitely.
basically this entire stream, Lek. Well, we're almost done, but the entire stream was basically us just
Fanboying.
over him.
Kevin Sorbo praise session.
Yeah. Actually, I should tag him when I go to share this. See if I can't just like troll him a little and just tell him like we were hating on you the whole time. That'll probably get him watching because he watches his haters just to mock them and
That would have been awesome if we would have got him on just to talk about the movie, because
Oh yeah, that'd be something to do a separate stream on. Just
if you can get him, let me know, because I want to pick his brain on a couple of those scenes.
yeah, definitely.
Agreed.
If we get him on, we got to schedule it with you. All right, yeah. There's nothing wrong with a Kevin Sorbo appreciation stream. Oh yeah.
No, I'm a big Hercules Legendary Journeys fan, so even at its most camp, I still found that to be an entertaining watch.
I still think it's the greatest TV series of all times. And
Yeah.
we've got content on Substack and Storyfire, just on Legendary Journeys these days. And I got to actually upload about, I think, 4 or 5 videos on the series over there that I'm behind on the uploading. So anyways, everybody subscribe, especially to Fullscreen. Go check us out on Substack. We're doing all sorts of podcasts there, history content, fantasy content. And of course, we're writing serial novels now, because why only talk about the stuff? Why only geek out over it when you can write it?
Yeah, 2024 seems like it's a good year for creativity.
Yep. And to hell with you, Crom.
To hell with you.
So, see ya, everyone. And to hell with you, Crom.